So you're thinking about moving and you have honed in on both Idaho and Texas. Or maybe you already live in Texas and are now eyeballing Idaho, or vice versa. Essentially, you just want to know how living in Idaho compares to living in Texas. And in that case, you're in luck because that is exactly what we are going to be breaking down in today's video. While both of these states are pretty fantastic and great in their own unique ways, if you're wondering how the Gem State compares to the Lone Star State, well, there are some major differences that you will really want to consider before making that leap. So in today's video, we're covering all the things, both big and small, that you need to know about before making that big decision. We'll cover the fun topics such as outdoor recreation, weekend getaways, and day trips, and just really overall quality of life, to the, well, not so sexy topics such as taxes and traffic. And then at the end, we're going to be sharing the biggest reason that we are currently hearing about from people who are choosing Texas over Idaho. And well, this exact reason actually resulted in not one, not two, but three fantastic clients of ours moving to Texas over Idaho, which, well, we were and still are bummed about, but well, it's an important one and we completely get it. So be sure to watch until the very end so you can hear about that.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So what do you think about when you think of Texas? For many, images of cowboys, deserts, and tumbleweeds just blowing across long dirt roads come to mind. And then when they think of Idaho, they picture cornfields and, of course, potatoes, pitchforks, and often humongous snow-capped mountains in the background. Really almost like a Microsoft Windows 95 laptop screensaver from, I don't know, back in the mid-90s. So is there really that much of a difference between these two states?
Yes, there is.
First up, let's kick things off by getting one big one out of the way that, well, it isn't the most exciting or sexiest topic by any means, but it is, of course, important. Let's talk about taxes. Here in Idaho, we do have state income tax, whereas, well, the Lone Star State does not. But then, on the other hand, Texas's property taxes are among the highest in the country and are currently averaging right around 1.6%, which is pretty much double what we see here in Idaho and almost triple what we see where I'm living in Meridian, Idaho. And then add to that, here in Idaho, we have a $125,000 homeowner's exemption, which essentially means that we get to deduct $125K from the assessed value of our primary residence, which of course provides some much appreciated savings come tax time. And then let's talk about sales tax. Both have sales tax. In Idaho, our sales tax is 6%, whereas Texas's is 6.25%. And then neither Texas nor Idaho have an inheritance tax. So that's great news for many retirees and or those who are determined to maximize the financial legacy that they are leaving behind. And then in Texas, they have road tolls through their electronic system called Tex Tags. Meanwhile, in Idaho, we don't have any of that. And many prefer it that way, as those tolls can, of course, add up and just kind of be a pest. So overall, while Texas is well known for its lack of state income tax, which can of course be very advantageous for residents with higher incomes. However, the trade-off here is that they've got significantly higher property taxes as well as slightly higher sales tax. Idaho, on the other hand, has a state income tax, but significantly lower property taxes. One thing that irks many to discover about Idaho's sales tax is, well, it even applies to groceries, which is not the case in Texas, so there is that. Ultimately, the winning state when it comes to taxes really comes down to individual circumstances such as income level, property values, and just general overall spending habits. For some, Idaho's lower property taxes might offset the absence of the state income tax, while for others, Texas with its zero income tax might be more favorable. Real fast, I just realized I never introduced myself, and if this is your first time to our channel, hi, I'm Marcy Ellison, a local real estate agent here in the Boise, Idaho area. Our goal with this channel is to really give you an on-the-ground look and feel for what living in Idaho is really like. We put together candid, info-packed videos every single week, videos that cover topics, areas, facts, and stats, really just all the things that would have helped us tremendously back 20 years, or almost 20 years ago, when my family and I were thinking about moving here. If you find this video helpful, please take a quick sec to just hit that little subscribe button and tap the little bell so you can see future videos. And yeah, seeing that little number tick up certainly does help to motivate us to just keep filming videos.
Sorry, you already subscribed.
Now, next up, let's talk about climate and geography. And this one is one area where these two states do differ quite significantly. Now, of course, let's keep in mind just how big both of these states are. So weather does, of course, vary across different areas of both of these states, and sometimes quite significantly. In general, though, living in Idaho will mean that your winters will be a bit colder. You can typically expect to have a white Christmas, and then you can also expect to be able to escape to the great outdoors, to ski, ski, snowboard, or snowmobile all through the winter months. Whereas come summertime, our summers here in Idaho are significantly more mild and, well, just in my opinion, far more comfortable. Meanwhile, living in Texas will mean your winters will most likely be, in comparison, very mild. And then come the warmer months, well, they aren't just going to be warm, they're going to be hot and humid. And if you're familiar with humidity and hot temperatures, then you already know that really there is no comparison. While living in the Boise, Idaho area will mean you can expect to see a few days in the hottest months of the summer surpass that 100-degree mark. Welp, we've got zero humidity. So that same temperature in Texas is going to feel probably about 20 to 30 degrees hotter. I don't know exactly how, but a lot hotter and just way more just uncomfortable due to the humidity. So on this one, in my opinion, the clear winner is Idaho.
Enjoying our famous low humidity?
Next, let's talk about geography. Idaho is, of course, widely known for our mountains, forests, rivers, and lakes. Whereas Texas is, on the other hand, characterized most commonly by vast plains, deserts, hills, and plateaus. So while Idaho's landscape provides ample opportunities for outdoor activities like skiing, hiking, camping, fishing, just all of those, Texas is more about beach outings, desert exploration, and offshore coastal fishing. So on this note, let's dive into recreation. Here in Idaho, our access to public land is one incredible perk of calling Idaho home. We have awesome and oftentimes direct access to public BLM land really all throughout the state. And if you're curious, BLM stands for Bureau of Land Management. In fact, our public BLM land actually covers nearly one-fourth of the entire state and spans 12 million acres, which is pretty hard to compete with. Living in Idaho will mean that you can hunt, fish, target practice, swim, paddleboard, just really the sky is the limit here. Texas, on the other hand, also offers public land. It has about 1 million acres, so 12 million in Idaho compared to 1 million in Texas, just saying.
Good thing it's not a competition.
It's a good thing.
Or maybe you are a big water sport person and boating or wakeboarding is your passion. In that case, well, both Texas and Idaho offer some incredible lakes. Where I live here in Meridian, which is about 15 minutes outside of Boise, we can get to two just great lakes. So to either Lake Lowell out in Nampa or Lucky Peak in East Boise in just about 20 to 25 minutes. And then if you go further north in Idaho to say Coeur d'Alene or to Sandpoint, well, both of those are built around lakes. There are just some incredible options here in Idaho. And then in Texas, they've certainly got a number of incredible lakes there too. There's Lake Travis near Austin, as well as the Lady Bird Reservoir right there, and multiple other lakes such as Lake Georgetown and Lake Conroe near Houston. So I would say that on the lakefront, well, both offer an incredible number to choose from. With Texas as being the larger state, they obviously have some more than we do here in Idaho, but I still think it's a pretty close toss-up. But what would a discussion around outdoor recreation be without mountains? And well, Idaho's mountains are incredible. Meanwhile, in Texas, well, Texas doesn't really have any mountains. Instead, it is definitely hill country. And then here in Idaho, we also have the incredible Bruneau Sand Dunes, which is really quite the hidden treasure and one that the vast majority of people moving here have never even heard about. Bruneau has the tallest single structure sand dune in the entire country. Yep, its peak rises almost 500 feet above the surrounding desert, and gosh, it's just quite the thing to see. And then, of course, as I touched upon earlier, well, living in Idaho will mean you won't have to deal with the humidity and the crazy heat that they've got down in Texas. So that certainly helps us to enjoy all of the outdoor recreation opportunities we have just more easily and, well, more often and just more comfortably. So all in all, I would say that recreation-wise, Idaho really has a slight upper hand here. Now, let's talk about traffic. And with this one, again, please keep in mind that both of these states are large. So, of course, both do have varying areas, and yes, both have rural areas with little to zero traffic.
Empty, Street deserted?
But if you compare both states' major metro areas, the traffic you are going to see and just have to expect living in, say, Dallas, San Antonio, or Houston, it is going to be significantly more congested than what you will find here in Idaho's largest cities, such as Boise, Meridian, or Nampa. Drastic difference for sure there. So yep, in general, your commute in Texas will be significantly longer due to the larger size of the cities and just the urban sprawl. So now, let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, or not really, but anyhow, it is important. Let's talk about the cost of living. Now, if you have been searching the internet or YouTube for topics such as Idaho versus Texas, cost of living, and lifestyle, well then, chances are you know that in general, Idaho tends to boast a slightly lower overall cost of living compared to Texas. And that is especially true when it comes to entertainment, transportation, utilities, and just general shopping. However, when it comes to housing, which of course is most often the largest contributing factor to one's cost of living, well, there seems to be a lot of incorrect information floating around about this one, because homes in Texas are now more affordable typically than homes across the state of Idaho. As of today, the average home price for homes sold and bought this year across the state of Idaho is hovering right around $442K. Meanwhile, in the state of Texas, the average home price for the year is right now right above $350K. So that's a significant difference. Now, of course, where you are looking for said homes certainly matters because, well, location, 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 right? Homes in Texas, in some of the cities on the border that are experiencing, well, what they're seeing on the border alone is one very solid reason I wouldn't want to live there, but that's a topic for another day. Just totally different topic altogether, I suppose.
Can we stay on topic?
But anyhow, obviously, home prices in those Texas cities are significantly lower than homes around Austin or in the Dallas-Fort Worth areas. On a similar note, homes in Idaho's highly desirable cities such as Eagle, Star, or Meridian, they are going to be significantly higher than homes in, say, Burley, Blackfoot, or Pocatello. Now, let's talk about the nightlife scene. If having a big nightlife scene is important to you, well then, with the exception of downtown Boise, there really isn't that much going on, especially in comparison to Texas's major metro areas. I mean, with BSU right in Boise, and then with the other college towns such as Moscow, with the University of Idaho, yes, there is a little bit of a nightlife scene and one that goes hand in hand with the college atmosphere. But well, living in Idaho will mean you won't have anything close to what they have in Dallas, Houston, or Austin. Across the board, Idaho just tends to be more family focused and or really just ideal for retirees or empty nesters who just want a quieter and more laid back and just calm lifestyle.
I like it quiet. Quiet.
Now, let's talk about crime and safety. As a realtor, I do have to encourage you to do your own research on this important topic, and there are many great online resources for you to do just that. You can dive into neighborhoodscout.org or crimegrade.org or nextburb.com. They all consistently show that Idaho has significantly less crime than they do in Texas. And yes, Texas is of course bigger than Idaho, so of course there is going to be more crime. But if you compare the two based on ratios, so you look at how much crime is experienced per, say, 1,000 residents, you will very quickly see that across the board, violent crimes, so assault, rape, murder, all of those, as well as robbery and theft, are all significantly higher in Texas than in Idaho. Now, of course, there are a lot of factors that play into this, and for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to stick to the numbers and facts. So on this one, I would definitely say Idaho has the upper hand. Okay, so now, after all of this, you're probably thinking that I'm a bit biased towards Idaho, which, well, of course I am. That's why I live here, and also why my team and I just love helping people like you find their perfect spot here so they can call it home as well. But alas, it doesn't work out for everyone. And now you want to know the #1 deterrent or game changer that we've recently seen result in several of our clients choosing to move to the Lonestar state opposed to the Gem state. And well, it all comes down to employment.
Are you employed, sir?
Employed?
Just straight out, there are more employment opportunities in Texas. What's more, with Texas having no income tax, well, that can, of course, sometimes be the ultimate determining factor. That said, I would like to point out three quick items on this one. #1, while here in Idaho we do not have income tax, in comparison to the rest of the country, our income tax that we do have is among the lowest. And then number 2, while Texas, which has a population of over 30 million compared to Idaho's population of just under 2 million, well, Texas typically is just going to have more job opportunities. And based on the sheer numbers, that is not to say that Idaho doesn't have a strong economy and or great employment options. Not even close, not the point. Idaho's job market is incredibly strong, and our economy was recognized nationally as being one of, if not the fastest state to recover following the pandemic. It really just comes down to population size. And yes, the way in which Texas handles corporate tax, in that, well, Texas doesn't have corporate tax, that of course certainly appeals to many major corporations and big time employers. But then point number 3, and this one is important to know, I just have to call it out, all 3 of the great families that I've been talking about and have referenced, they have all decided to move to Texas for now, but they are still fully intending to move to Idaho down the road. Their dream of becoming an Idahoan has not been squashed by any means. They are just planning on making that move here in a few years once their employment options allow and or they can retire. So that's interesting, I would say.
So you get points for that.
If you are looking to learn more about what living in Idaho could and would be like for you, please jot down our number so you have it on hand when you're ready to take that next step. Or if you aren't quite ready to hop on the phone yet, but would like to continue learning more about what living in the Treasure Valley is like, we have a fantastic, it's right here actually, and completely free, no strings attached relocation guide that you can download and peruse through at your leisure. I will put the link to it in the description of this video. And then once you are ready to take that next step, give us a call or shoot us a text so we can set up an exploratory call with you and whomever it is who's coming alongside of you. My very low pressure but also highly professional and proven team are here and ready to help. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.